Darkness cloaked my room, and the night pressed its weight upon my thoughts. It was during one of those ominous hours, the kind that causes you to doubt your own senses, that I first noticed him. The man outside my window. The window in my bedroom overlooked a dense thicket of trees. Its glass surface was usually a portal to the moonlight, casting ethereal shadows on the walls. But that night was different. There he was, a figure standing amid the gnarled branches, almost camouflaged, yet unmistakably present. The moonlight revealed just enough of his form for me to catch a glimpse of his disheveled hair and ragged clothing. My heart skipped a beat, and I convinced myself that it was simply a trick of the imagination. But as I looked away and then back again, he was still there, his silhouette like a grotesque painting framed by the window pane. Panic fluttered in my chest, and I couldn't tear my eyes away. It felt as though I was bound to his gaze, unable to break free. Minutes turned into hours as I watched him, his stillness unnerving. What did he want? Why was he standing outside my window in the dead of night? The more I pondered these questions, the more my mind conjured sinister scenarios. Was he a specter from another world, seeking to communicate some hidden message? Or perhaps a deranged wanderer, lurking in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike? With each passing second, my fear deepened, and I was paralyzed by a morbid curiosity. I found myself questioning my own sanity. Had I truly seen a man, or was this a manifestation of my own anxieties? My rational mind warred with my instincts, urging me to call the authorities, but my fascination held me back. I was trapped in a macabre dance with a phantom. As the night wore on, the man's presence began to warp my reality. The room itself seemed to change, its dimensions distorting as if the walls were closing in. The moonlight that usually brought comfort now cast haunting shadows that stretched and contorted like ghostly fingers. The air grew dense, laden with an unnatural chill. I shivered, torn between fleeing my room and confronting the enigmatic figure beyond the glass. Time became irrelevant, and the line between dreams and wakefulness blurred. In my half-conscious state, I imagined conversations with the man. We spoke in riddles, his voice a whisper that echoed through my mind. He spoke of forgotten truths and hidden knowledge, weaving a tapestry of dread that ensnared my thoughts. I struggled to break free, but his words were like tendrils coiling around me and pulling me deeper into his web. Morning arrived like a reprieve, casting the man's silhouette into obscurity. The first rays of sunlight dispersed the shadows, and with them, the haunting presence outside my window seemed to fade away. I blinked, my room returning to its familiar dimensions. It was as though the night had been a fever dream, an aberration brought on by fatigue and fear. But as I cautiously approached the window, a chill ran down my spine. In the dirt just beneath the sill, there were footprints, unmistakable evidence that someone had been there. The man had been real, and my encounter with him had not been a mere figment of my imagination. Days turned into weeks, and the memory of that night haunted my every waking moment. I tried to convince myself that it was an isolated incident, a bizarre encounter that would fade into obscurity. Yet, in the corners of my mind, I couldn't shake the feeling that he was still out there, lurking just beyond my line of sight. Sleep became elusive, my dreams invaded by whispers and shadows. The boundaries between night and day blurred, and I found myself descending into a maelstrom of paranoia. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind against the window became a harbinger of his return. My once sanctuary had transformed into a prison of my own making. I sought solace in the daylight, immersing myself in work and social interactions. But the man's presence lingered like a relentless specter. His image was etched into my mind, his words echoing in the recesses of my thoughts. I questioned the nature of reality itself, unsure of whether I was trapped in a nightmare or simply losing my grip on sanity. Weeks turned into months, and the weight of my obsession grew heavier. Friends and family expressed concern, but their words were mere echoes against the cacophony of my inner turmoil. The man outside my window had become a malevolent force, an entity that defied explanation yet held an undeniable grip on my psyche. One fateful night, unable to bear the torment any longer, I made a decision. With trembling hands, I opened the window that had become a portal to my descent into madness. The night air rushed in, carrying with it the scent of damp earth and uncertainty. I gazed into the darkness, my heart pounding in rhythm with the night. "Show yourself," I whispered, my voice barely audible in the stillness. Seconds stretched into eternity, and then I saw him, a figure emerging from the shadows, stepping into the moonlight. He was as I remembered, disheveled and haunting, yet strangely familiar. "You've been seeking me," he said, his voice a blend of melancholy and resignation. "Why?" I asked, my voice quivering. He approached the window, his face illuminated by the pale light. "I am a reflection of your fears," he replied, "a manifestation of the darkness within you." I recoiled, the truth of his words cutting through the fog of my confusion. He was a part of me, a creation of my own mind, born from the depths of my anxieties. The realization hit me with a force that left me breathless. "You can't escape me," he continued, his gaze unrelenting. "I am your creation, your shadow." Tears welled in my eyes, and with a surge of determination, I slammed the window shut. The room was plunged into darkness, and for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. The man outside my window was not a separate entity, but a representation of the darkness that resided within me. In the days that followed, I sought help, professional guidance to navigate the labyrinth of my own mind. Therapy became my lifeline, a path toward understanding and healing. Slowly, the specter of the man outside my window lost its hold over me. The nightmares subsided, replaced by a newfound resilience. The man outside my window had been a manifestation of my deepest fears and insecurities, a reminder that the darkness we fear is often a reflection of the shadows we carry within ourselves. It was a harrowing journey, one that forced me to confront the depths of my own psyche, but ultimately it led me to a place of self-discovery and acceptance. And though the memory of that night still lingers, it serves as a reminder that even in the darkest corners of our minds, there is always a glimmer of light waiting to be found.